Shalom, shalom. I want to start by saying that I'm humbled at the opportunity, and I consider it a great zechut to share some thoughts with such an esteemed group of Torah scholars and community leaders. I want to thank also Rav Yonatan for giving me the opportunity, and I'll show my hakar satov by not sharing any embarrassing stories of us in our time together at Yeshiva. I want to think a little bit about the teva, the fortress built to protect from the destruction, devastation, ravaging the entire world. I want to contrast that with the other construction project in our Parsha of Migdal Bavel. Right? Why was one project commanded by Kadosh Baruch Hu and the other one rejected? Because at their essence, they both seem to be about protecting a certain set of ideas, a certain set of ideals. So, Migdal Bavel, first of all, clearly their set of ideas was bad. They were misguided. Right? They were unethical. But beyond that, the Hamikdavar at least zeroes in on an interesting other problem, which is their fear of penafutz al panei kol haaretz, lest we be scattered around the world. Right? Meaning, let's say that their positions, they're ethical, were ethical and they were good. So the Hamikdavar is saying that you have to share them. You can't hoard them for yourselves. So the generation of Migdal Bavel was trying to keep them in this pristine form so that they could just keep them for themselves, as opposed to looking outward to impact positively the world around them. Not so the teva, obviously. The mission given to Noach is, shirtzu va'aretz uraduva, and Noach is protecting a set of ideals that are really, really precious. These are the seeds of what will blossom into ethical monotheism. And yes, he's protecting them from the storm raging around him, but only so that on the other end, he can go and spread them with the world. He can rebuild society based on them. And yet, after the whole thing, everything calms down, and it's time for Noach to fulfill the mission. And what does he do? Nothing. He stays in the teva. It's not until HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Tzei min hateva that Noach leaves. And what's the hesitation? So here too the Mefarshim have a number of positions, but we can imagine, right? Safety, 100%. He's worried about confirmation. He needs confirmation that of the mission, for sure. He feels he needs permission, 100%. Right? There's all sorts of things that are keeping him in the teva. And I've been thinking about this a lot as we, are now a month and a half in to our Yetziah Min HaTeva. As we opened our schools, reopened our shoals for the Chagim, this was a really hard thing to do. After 6 months in our own mini tevot, our own fortresses, in which we tried to protect our family from the storm raging around us. And we did our best to preserve any shemetz of what are normally spiritually uplifting experiences for us, for our kids, right? Without a normal Pesach, without a normal Shavuos, without summer camps that help develop and solidify their Jewish identity, we did our best. We did our best to protect and preserve everything we could. But then it came time, L'tzeit min hateva, and it was terrifying. Right? I know for me, it was, and it continues to be really, really hard. Right? First of all, we had to look in the face of, we had to take stock of everything that we lost in the flood. And they're not small things. Right? The kind of the spiritual apathy that settled in a lot of our kids in our community, from waking up late every morning, from losing the power of the messaging from their Rebbeim and Morot as it's diluted and filtered through the screen of their devices. It wasn't the same. And there was a lot of work to do. And we as community leaders, not only for our own Yetziah Min HaTeva, but to set things up in such a way that our students, our parents, our community members, our teachers, we're all willing to leave the teva with us. And I want to say that for me, every day I get a lot of chizuk. I walk around my Maimonides school and there's kids learning and there's teachers teaching, and it's powerful to see. And we went through the Chagim, and the Yamim Noraim were different than they've ever been before, but they were powerful. And I had sukkahs, and we got to go to shul, and it was something powerful for my kids. And I'm inspired every day seeing what our community does, what Am Yisrael will do to rebuild and to preserve our hashkafa and to rebuild our community. It's inspirational to see the power of our teachers teaching, even with a mask on. Somehow the warmth of the Rebbe and the Morah is still coming through and impacting our students. And I want to say that I know that everybody's in different stages right now of this all, but I want to leave us all with a bracha. The Medrash Rabbah at the end of the in this parsha, when at the end of the Mabul says, quotes the pasuk Tehillim, "Hotzia mi masker nafshi lehodos Shemecha biachtiru tzadikim kisigmol alai." The Medrash parses up the pasuk, "Hotzia mi masker nafshi zen Noach shahaya sagur bateva 12 chodesh," in isolation, in quarantine. Lehodos Shemecha lases hodaya lishmecha. Thank you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Biachtiru tzadikim yiskalalun bi tzadikaya ki sigmol alai. Why? Shegamalta alai. Because you had mercy on me. You helped me through this. Ve'amarta li tzei min hateva. May we and our constituents all be recipients of this chesed from Kadosh Baruch Hu as we move forward and try to rebuild. Shabbat Shalom.